everybody, I'm here today for a coloring video. It's been a while since I've done focused on Copics, and so I have this little stamp. Unfortunately, he has retired. He's from Stamptember this last year from Pink and Maine in a Simon Says Stamp collaboration. I was lucky enough to nab one of these sets. He's just so cute, I think, in this little cup of cocoa. I'm calling him a Marshmallow Man because he's kind of like a snowman, but he's a marshmallow. So that's what I've nicknamed this guy. And I'm going to show you how I colored him up. And one of the reasons I chose this image to do the video with is because white is kind of very tricky color to color with Copics, I think. I think we often get lost in what we're doing here. So the paper's white, and obviously we want our marshmallow to look white. So I've chosen E51 and E50, and I'm also going to use the blender pen here. And I'm lightly flicking in with my E51. And I'm going to do a little bit on my top of his head as well. A little bit here along the cup and under his scarf. And I'm going to continue that in with E50. And I'm choosing these colors because what I'm doing is trying to add some shadow. When you color white, what you're really doing is you're just adding shadow. You're not coloring the object so much. Notice that the inside of his face and his belly here are still white. And I can soften my edges by taking my blender pen and kind of going over the edges that I just colored, and it'll softly fade that E50s, the E53 and E51 into the white. Now, if you want, I'll do this a little bit. I'm just going to take my E51 and I'm just going to put a little bit on my marshmallows, and I'm just going to hit each one a little bit with the blender pen so it's not like a line. I don't want it to be a line. There we go. So now we have our little marshmallow colored, and for that I'm going to use V17, V15, V12, and V01. And again, I'm still aiming for the center here of the cup because my light source is coming directly on, so the shadows would be on either side. And I'm going to color this dark to light. So on the edges, and I'm only going to use a real little bit of the V17. So I'm just going to do teeny tiny little flicks in. And I want my bottom of the mug to be dark too. So I'm kind of coming around here a little bit. And then I'm going to turn this to the side and add a little bit of V17 over here. Teeny tiny flicks. And then I'm going to go over the top of these with V15. And these are going to get bigger, and I'm going to use that V15 to push the V17 out into the center of the mug. I'm going to do that again on this side. Come back on this side and add a little more, go a little farther. A little farther on this side. Now I'm going to come in with my V12 and continue to push those colors towards the center of our mug. And now I'm going to come in with my V01 and continue closing up my highlight a little bit. I don't really want my highlight to be white. I just want it to be lighter on that. Now on this side, I feel like I need a little bit more V12. Actually, I think I'm going to start with V15 because look how my dark is getting kind of washed out a little bit. I don't want that to be so light. So I'm going to add some V15. And then one more time, I'm going to come in with my V12. And it's also going to help these colors blend together a little bit easier. I'm going to do the same on this side. Now, if you've been coloring with Copics for a while, you know that these are harder colors to work with. I think purples and blues and reds are the hardest to blend, and you have to work at them a little bit more. But I think the end result is worth it. I really like how that turned out. We're not quite done, though. We still have the mug handle to do. So I'm going to just put a little bit of Y17. Flick that out with... I said Y. I'm sorry. If I said Y, I meant V. You guys, I'm a little sleep deprived here, but I really wanted to do this, so I meant V if I ever said Y. And this is V01. So we have a cute little handle to match our mug, and now we have this back part of the mug. It's so far back, we're going to eliminate that V01 because it's going to be darker. It's in the shadows. We don't want it to be too light, but we still want to have some shading in here. So there's our V17. There's our V15. And that is our V12. And I think that looks really, really nice. Now, I did have a little boo-boo here and there. I got a little bit of purple in my scarf. I'm not too worried about it because I'm planning to make my scarf pink, so I'm not going to worry about it. But I am going to worry about this. I have a little bit of purple on my snowman. So what I'm going to do is grab my white again, my E50. And the really nice thing about Copics is we can use one color to kind of push another color. So I'm just going to kind of come in here with my E50 and I'm just do a couple brush strokes. And if you can see this, it's pushing the purple back into the mug. And there you go. Now we have a white marshmallow again. So I'll leave that be. And again, the scarf's going to be pink, so no worries there. All right, the pinks I'm going to use RV55 and RV52. And what I'm going to do is start with the dark, and along this edge, I am going to put a little bit of RV55, and I'm going to come out a little bit. This is like mimicking a fold in the scarf. And I'm going to carry that along this side a little bit, and along the edge of this bottom scarf, or the bottom edge of the scarf, I'm going to put some RV55. Kind of do the same here. And there we go. Start blending that in with my RV52. Now you could use a third color here, but I didn't think it was a very big space, so I wasn't worried about it. And I'm planning on putting white polka dots on this. So I didn't think we needed to spend, a lot of our shading is going to get hidden here. The one thing I will say is you do want it to make sure it is pink in color, not white, you know, like leaving that white highlight, because if you have the white polka dots are not going to show through. And if you want, while we got this out, I'm just going to take a little bit of R52, that light pink. I'm going to give them a little cheekies. I'm grabbing W3, W1, and W0. And I'm going to ground our image. And for me, I always like to turn this guy on the side. And I can use my lines here on my grid paper as kind of a guide here. So that's my table. So this is my W3. And now I can start blending this out with my W1. And a little more with my W0. So now we've just kind of given him a surface to sit on so he's not floating in the air. And those grid lines are just nice to do that. So we have only a very little bit left. I'm going to take E27 and E25 to color my cocoa. So I'm just going to come in here and at the back of the cocoa, I'm going to make it the darkest, which is the E27. Kind of dodging my marshmallows here. And then I'm going to come in with my E25. And these colors are really close, so they blend together perfectly. Just enough to give it a little dimension. Isn't that cool? I love that cocoa. Totally looks delicious. His nose, you could just use one orange. I'm going to use YR07, and I'm just going to put a little bit on the bottom of his nose, and then I'm going to come in with YRO2 and just gives it a little dimension. But to be honest, guys, I think that's, I think that's going over the top a little bit. It's just a real little one. All right. So let's do a couple things to this so we can let it dry, and I'll show you how to put this card together. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm grabbing my Spectrum Noir pen. This is the same thing as Wink of Stella, and I really like the idea of making this this cup sparkly. This card didn't have, I wasn't real sure how to embellish this, and I thought that the sparkly cup would serve as our embellishment, and it really showcases that great blending we did on the cup. I'm going to put some on the back, and this guy just looks like he would be a snowman with a sparkly cup. Let's not lie. That's awesome. So we'll put that down, and this does take a few minutes to dry, so it's kind of nice that we can do that while we prepare the rest of our card. Now I'm taking a white gel pen, and I'm going to start putting in little dots. Now the thing is, when you do this, you don't want to put them in rows. That looks too fake, I guess. So I really try to make them random, and even put like half dots on the edge of the scarf, like it rolls over and you can't see the other half dot, so like a semicircle. So try to make it as random as you can. I know that it's hard for me too. I struggle with this. This is something that I've been practicing, trying to randomize myself. See, I think it needs one right there on the edge. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So now we've got some really cool white dots on his scarf. Now this is another optional thing, but totally up to you. The other thing I have in my stash is a Stardust pen. And what I'm going to do is go over the steam marks, just kind of make some, ties them in with a cup. It's just that nice little sparkly shimmer there. I don't know if the camera picks that up very well. Hopefully it does. And last but not totally least is I have a glaze pen, and I found on these guys, I love to just darken up their eyes a little bit, put a little bit on his kohl to help that stand out. And now I'm going to set this aside. Let's set him aside so he dries. And let's look at the other parts of our card. So what I did was I took 4 1/4 this way by 11 this way, and I scored it 1 inch. This is 1 inch here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our scissors, and we are going to cut along this score line all the way up to the center point where it's scored again. Then we're going to turn the card, and we're going to cut here down to that line, and now we have a piece of cardstock that looks like this. You can see it a lot better when I put the inside piece in, and it makes us a little like fun fold where we can see the sentiment from here. So I'm going to take a second, let me glue this down. Okay. It also had a piece of decorative paper in there that we can now glue onto the front of our card. And this decorative paper is what inspired my color choices today. I wanted something that would go with it, and I just really like this little pink purple polka dot pattern. And I'm going to take our little guy here, and I'm going to glue him to my scallop circle. And then what we want to do is we only want to put glue on the bottom half of this, guys. Just this little bit. And then we can center him, or not center him, but kind of stick him up here in the corner. So he overlaps the card, and he is now sticking off that top piece there. And move him down just a smidgen. There we go. think that looks a little better with that not overlapping the white there. So it says, a cup of cocoa, a snowflake or two, my favorite moments are spent with you. And I love that. It's so sweet. I love this little guy. Thank you guys for taking the time to craft with me. I hope you found this tutorial helpful and encourages you to get out your Copic markers and start to color and even make a little fun fold card for a friend or family member. I'll catch you guys on the next tutorial. See you later.